Hello, this is Dr. Mike, and I wanted to say a word of greeting to you as we began this class in Native American history. I think most of us have an interest in Native American studies. For no other reason, we remember from our childhood TV programs and things that incited our creativity and our interest in what went on in the Old West and what went on in the country as hordes of Europeans began to flood the country as though this was just free land and nobody lived on it. What they encountered were over 10 million Native Americans with 338 different tribes who were relatively intelligent and who had great societies, who built a foundation and were functioning very well until the introduction of diseases for which they had no immunity for by the Spanish. And then, of course, the increasing numbers of people that began to flood the area. At the heart of that was a major misunderstanding between Europeans and the Native Americans over the idea of land and land usage and land ownership. Native Americans did not hold land individually, they held it as community property. And for their tribes, they had hunting areas and they had living areas and quite a large tract of land for that purpose. Native American, Europeans, were of the belief that if land was unused, that it was free and available for the taking. And that was the attitude that they pursued as they came to the New World. So you can imagine this led to a clash of cultures. And of course, in the end, the Native Americans were wiped out. From the first contact, first discovery by Columbus in 1492 up until 1889, we went from 10 million possible inhabitants in the Americas to less than 300,000. And so pretty much it was a genocide on the part of Europeans wiping out Native Americans. And it was not until about 1975 that Native Americans began to gain any traction in the courts and to win back some of the rights that have been taken from them to practice their religion, speak their language, have their own national identity. And so today, most recognized Native American tribes, the members will have two passports, one as a member of their nation and then one as an American. So they have dual citizenship, if you will. As we go into this course, we're going to look at some great things. It may not be what you expect because most of us, when we start in a college course of this type, do not have much background in Native American history. We didn't get much in high school, maybe 2 pages if you were lucky, and maybe 2 pages on women's history and 2 pages on African American history and Chinese history and all the things that impacted the Americas. But we're going to do this now. So it's a very intense course. Be sure you look at the expectations as far as the discussion boards. Those are vitally important because they are our chance to discuss things and to kind of measure our thinking against each other. And of course, I'll weigh in on areas that maybe you need to kind of broaden your scope. The one thing that I would encourage you is to be very careful about wearing your glasses that you look through in history. One of the worst things we can do as historians is to look back on the past through our glasses. We have to take off those glasses and put on a pair of glasses, say for the 1600s or the 1500s, if we're going to correctly understand and analyze and evaluate the things that we're about to look at. And it's vitally important that you read the materials, that you listen to whatever materials you're given, because this will help you to shape your perspective. It's a time when you take out the things maybe you do think you know from TV and from the internet and any other source that you might have, and lay those things on the table and examine them against the evidence. You will find that you will need probably to discard some old ways of thinking and look at things very differently. And I think that's an encouraging thing. That is a part of being a historian. And this is especially important for those of you who are history majors that are going to go on to teach young people and adults other classes, that you learn how history is done. History is not a matter of our opinions. It is a matter of research and comparison and analysis and understanding. And so you're going to read some great materials. We have a great textbook. We have great alternate readings. Be sure you do not slough those off and not pay attention to them. Do not get behind in this course. It is extremely difficult to get caught back up again. So please do your work each week. On the expectation sheet, I will talk to you about discussion boards, what is acceptable to getting all the points that are assigned there. And you must do your reading to do that. You're writing not from your opinion, you're writing from the research and things that you're reading about that has been done. We live in a day when we have lots of resources. You realize that Native American history, for the most part, was oral history passed down by word of mouth. And so there is no history books really written by Native Americans, beyond until after probably the 1900s. We do have a lot of Native Americans today that teach in the field of history, and I take my hat off to them. I actually have some Native American blood myself. My family were from the Creek tribe in southwestern U.S., and then we went in the Trail of Tears west to Oklahoma. So I do have a vested interest in this being something that we learn from and we grow from, and understand that our history as Americans is not pretty. It's not perfect. It is very human, and we make a lot of mistakes. And as I said, this was a genocide and an attempted genocide. Some of the things that were done are just amazing, and it will disturb you as you read about what people. Man's inhumanity to man is one of the great things that we look at in history, and we just understand why we never seem to learn the lessons of treating people as human beings. And that was one of the issues with Native Americans. They tried to determine whether they were human or not. And you will find an encyclical by the Pope in 1557 that declared that Native Americans were human and were in need of the gospel of Christ in order for their salvation. So, we hardly think of those things. The same thing was done with slaves in America, trying to make them somehow savage, somehow not human, after the Darwin's theory of evolution, that they somehow evolved when white people didn't. All these things come to play in these courses as we look at different cultures. So let me encourage you to dive in. You're here because you were interested. You're not anywhere required to take this course, I don't think, but you're here because you do have an interest. Let's feed that interest. Let's develop the interest. Let's encourage that in our lives. And one thing I can guarantee you, it will open doors for you for many a great avenue to go down to think about culture and Americanism and how we came to be and what happened to our Native American ancestors and what they were under, what kind of pressures they were under to survive. So I'm looking forward to these days. There will be important days. I think you will look back, as many of my students do, on this course as one of the turning points of your life, and one in which you will be really happy you took this course, that you took the time, that you put in the effort that was needed in order to do well. And also one final caveat, the final exam is 400 points out of 1,000. So that means that every week you must always prepare for that final exam. One of the things we do each week is a term selection, where you will pick a term and you need to register that term in the general box at the top of the discussions. And once you have registered the term, if nobody else has registered the term, then you're free to go ahead and work on that, research that, write about that. If someone's already taken your term, please choose another one, because whatever terms are left over that are not taken by classmates, you will need to take and fill in for those for the final exam. So every week, you need to be preparing your study sheet, your crib notes for the final from those terms and from the things you're learning. So keep that in mind. Also, the readings. You will have on the final exam an opportunity to write a short essay about the two or three different readings that we have. I don't mean to make you afraid of the course. I think that with us working together, you have no need to fear about that. You also will do a paper on a subject. So this is an upper level history course. This is not introduction. You are into an upper level history course, and those are the established parameters for that anywhere you go in any college. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you learn to write. If you have a problem, you get several opportunities for me to feedback on your writing, and hopefully that will help you to do well, and I'm here to help you do well. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to encourage you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you through this course in ways that will enhance your learning. You'll notice on the announcements that I post some current Native American events, things that are going on in the news. And this course is often in the news, or things about it are in the news. I attended a powwow when I was in Colorado, where there were 18 nations that came together at Pioneer Days in Wyoming. That was quite interesting. There's been one in my hometown. You'll see the notice on the paper in Pickens, South Carolina, and that will continue. And I hope to participate more and more of these. And I encourage you, if you have Native Americans around you, if you have tribal areas or whatever, go and visit, go to their museums, look at their materials, look at their story, and you might find something there that you'd like to do a paper from. Well, enough said. We'll be well underway shortly, and I look forward to that. I encourage your communication, and I will tell you this: those that communicate often usually do better. You have my phone number, and you have my email. So please correspond, and you have places on the site itself where you can post things to me or ask questions. And I look forward to that. Always read other people's discussion responses as well, because you learn a great deal, because in the give and take, you may learn something you didn't know. And I try to respond to almost every post so that you have my perspective. And then I try to do a from my perspective video each week to talk to you about whatever we're talking about in the class. So I hope that will be helpful. Okay, until we talk again, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the class. Thanks.